Welcome to the Oakley Podcast, Trucking Business and Family. I am Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast, along with Megan Cummins sitting in with me today. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great. We got an episode today, Megan, that, you know Alex Bauta.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I sat down with him. This is just another great story from our owner-operators. I mean, and I get so excited talking to our owner-operators because they're just so diverse and such the backgrounds that you hear. I mean, you really get to know these guys better, and you think, man, these are just good people.
Lots of interesting people.
Yeah. Alex has got a great story just, about his military career, accident he overcame, not far from the office down here that set him back for a little while, but he was able to get through that. I mean, he talked about his goals. He's very detailed oriented. He's really he talked about fuel mileage and getting good fuel mileage, and I mean he is just he's just a wealth of knowledge. I mean, just a great overall owner operator that knows how to succeed. Mm-hmm. So that episode is coming up here in just a second. Couple things. What's a couple things on the docket?
A couple things on the docket. Here's one. Pre-filing for 2290s. That's a thing now. I think May is whenever it started. So if you guys have the Express Truck Tax we've got an affiliate link now, BruceOakley2290.com. If you guys use that, you can log in and pre-file. That way it'll come out right there July 1st. You don't have to worry about it. And pretty much from now until the 1st of September, 2290 season.
Yeah.
So something to think about.
But you can't pay it yet, can you?
Yeah.
Can you?
I mean, it won't come out of your checking account until July 1st, but you can pre-file, so it'll come out automatically. Yeah.
So for everybody that may not know or remember, we're not doing 2290s for you. You are responsible for getting your 2290 done and getting us a copy and sent to Megan. Now, we've made it as easy and as simple as we can make it. So it worked out great last year, and just remember that. If you need help, give us a call, but there's no way that Megan and Wendy and us can do 900 and help do. But we'll do what we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Help steer them that way. October 18th, truck show happening. Annabelle said to be sure to mention that, especially about signing up for the truck show. We already got some signed up.
Really?
Yeah. What do we have about? We already got 23 signed up?
Holy moly.
We didn't even have 23 last year, did we? Like right at 20, it seems like. We had 19, 20 last year. So
how many spots do we have available?
I don't know. How many's too many? I don't know. I guess wherever we can fit them. Out here, so
that
great.
Means get it in quick.
Yeah, we got some really. I mean, these trucks are awesome. These guys got some fancy trucks. They make them look good that week. We got a bunch of prizes give away that night. I mean, it's a big deal. There'll be a lot more information coming out about it. It's a little early right now, but there'll be a lot more info coming out about that down the road.
We have door prizes for office workers.
No.
Okay, just thought I'd check.
I don't know.
Shine up my Corolla.
Recruiting department is ineligible.
Okay, well, is permits really recruiting?
Yes, ineligible.
Okay, well, if you guys want to bring a door prize for me, or
right?
I'm just kidding.
It's always good. It's always a good time. Yeah. Sponsors. Hey, Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer. Those guys have been great. Matter of fact, I called David Dunn the other day just to check on him, see how it's going. He answered the phone. I said, "What you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm on vacation." I said, "Well, don't answer the phone if you're on vacation." Yeah. He said, "Man, I'm answering the phone from you." Oh. I said, "Well, I'll let you go. I just wanted to see how it's going down there." And he said, "Man, it's fantastic. We've got 5 or 6 guys a week coming in down here, and it's exactly what we thought it would be. You got some great owner operators, and so." That's working out great both ways for him and for our owner operators.
Oh, yeah. So. I feel like I hear about them once every few weeks. Mm-hmm. Somebody says something about them.
And, of course, Keith at Arrow. You talked to him lately?
Keith. Yeah, I talked to him and Amy last week. I kind of talked to him just about every week, especially here lately. We've been hot and heavy in the recruiting department.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, they're great.
So check out Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer down the road here from us, and Keith at Arrow Truck Sales, which will run a spot during this episode. But let's get on with Alex Bauta episode. Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer strives to take care of our owner-operators as quickly and accurately as possible. As a family-owned and operated company, they understand and value the importance of relationships just like we do. That is why Oakley owner-operator Joe Williams continues to return to their shop for service on his truck.
I've been with Oakley Trucking for 2 years in this April, first-time owner-operator. It was a shock, the maintenance and the repairs on it, because I've never done anything like this before. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to try that Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer, because they're so convenient. They're right there off the interstate, right down the road from Oakley Trucking. And I talked to Nathan, and being an owner-operator, he tries to get the owner-operators in and out as quick as possible, because he knows if we're not rolling, we're not making money. If they tell me they can get my truck in at a certain time, they get it in at a certain time. If they tell me, well, it'll be ready at this time, it's ready at that time. So I can really count on them. They're competitive with anybody around, probably better than most.
Next time your truck needs service, give Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer a call at 501-568-2185 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast. On this episode, we always try to give you guys really good content, especially some of the most requests we get are get some more of your owner-operators on. And I had one, this one's going to be good. Alex Bauta is sitting down with me, and we're fixing to get to his story and his success story and his things that are important to him in trucking, being owner-operator. But I want to tell you this. I heard one of my owner-operators told me he was sitting over in the driver's lounge. Been a little while, but he was sitting with another group of drivers were in there, and they got talking about the podcast, and they said, oh, that's all got to be put on. They ain't doing that. I ain't real. And this guy had been on the podcast.
Okay.
So he was listening. He was listening to this, and let him go on, and then finally he said, no, it is all for real because I've been on it. Right, so he kind of put them in their place, and that's, I want to tell you guys, this is what you get. I don't have, very little editing goes into this. We don't take much out at all. We just have a conversation with our owner operators or whoever it is and try to give you authentic stuff. So, and that's what we're doing again today. Except today we're sitting down with Alex Bauta. He's one of our owner operators. Alex, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it, taking your time out to hang out with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I think it's good. Our listeners learn a lot, I think, from our owner operators, and you've got some stuff we're going to talk about here in a minute. But first, I always like for my listeners to know who they're listening to. Tell us about you and your family.
My name is Alejandro Bauta. I go by Alex because it's just simpler for everybody. And I'm originally Cuban. I was born and raised in the island.
Okay.
And we got here in 2001. And I've been in trucking since 2012, but with the military since 2008. I just don't really count those 4 years with the military because it's such a different environment overall, trucking in the uniform versus outside of the uniform. But that puts me in the trucking environment for roughly 15 years or so.
Okay, good. Family?
Wife, met her in Oklahoma, actually because of trucking, because I used to work for Melton Truck Lines, and their corporate office is right there in Tulsa. And I worked in their corporate office for a couple of years, 2015 timeframe. And when I was working in the office, then that's when I had a chance to meet her. So we've been together since. And then she had a pre-starter family, so it's just me, her, and the kid.
Good.
We currently live in Indiana. That was a choice because, with what I do, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to live in one place or the other. So Indiana is central enough. It gives me a chance to come to the house, working for you guys here. And then she works from home. So, Again, it doesn't really matter where we live. And Indiana just seemed like a good place, a good choice.
Yeah, it is kind of centrally located. Absolutely. Where you can accommodate everything. That's good thinking. A lot of people don't realize that. So, and so you started out military, got in, went to Melton. Been driving a long time. Now, when did you become an owner-operator?
Actually, I did 2 times of service with the uniform on. In 2008 to 2012, and then in 12, I started my whole trucking outside of the uniform experience. But in 19, I decided to put the uniform back on, and my plan out of that contract, because usually with the military it's a 3-year contract, my plan to leave the uniform behind that second time in 22 was to do it for myself. So in 21, I started the conversation with dealers about trying to get my truck in order. So when 22 came around, my military contract was over, I could go ahead and just do it for myself that time.
So explain that a little bit to our listeners and to me. When you're talking about contract, you go back into the military, or you describe that.
So the military is a voluntary thing. Like, it's not necessarily that you owe them certain things or not. So when I did it my first time around, it was a 3-year contract as well, meaning when you sign up for the military service is a contract time. And all the contracts are different. They could have a 2-year contract, could have a 6-year contract. It just kind of depends on what you are agreeing to serve for.
But is it a truck driving contract?
It's based on the job. It's based on the job. So
Okay.
Military has over 200 job choices. You could do anything from being a cook in the military all the way to just being a analyst, just kind of intel specialist, something that takes a lot of brains to something that just takes a lot of just physical labor skill. So it's not necessarily what you think is just, what you see in Hollywood with people out there with the guns out on the front lines. That is part of the military, but there's a lot more to the military than just what you see in Hollywood. So depending on the job and depending on your responsibility, then there's different types of contracts and different lengths of contract. So my first contract was for the job of trucking, and that was a 3-year contract. And it was from 2008 to 2012, because then that very first time in, you also got to account for that training time. So that basic training, and then what they called AIT, which is just an acronym saying that it's advanced training for what your job actually is going to be. So
I didn't know that opportunity was there for you to come and go.
Well, that was it. I did my 3-year contract with them. At the end of my contract, I owe them no more time, and then we just go separate ways. And then later in life, I just decided that I wanted to go and put the uniform again.
Yeah, that's what I meant. You could able to go back and do another contract.
Yeah, so what they do at that point is, because there is such a great gap in between your service time, they might look at your previous job and kind of put you in a position where, well, since you've already gone through training, you may not have to go through that training again because you've already been proficient in that specific skill. But if it's been a very long time, like for me, it was a 7-year gap between both contracts, then it's possible that you may have to redo some of your training.
Okay.
So there you are, older, you're a lot more life experience versus all of the other trainees that are coming most of them straight out of high school, and you're this older man in the middle of the group. Like, you're the grandpa. Everyone's like, hey, Dad, how's your back today? Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot of that going on. I was fortunate in a way to not have to go through the training again. They considered my time just being still proficient, even though it was such a long gap in between. But yeah, I put the uniform back on in 19, and I went straight to duty.
What did you learn in the military to help you in real life, I should say, in the general public? Right.
So a lot of people that don't necessarily know the military environment may have that relationship of it's a lot of strict things going on, or it's all about the rank structure and all those kinds of things. But honestly, the military is a great opportunity for you to just get out of an environment. For me specifically, when I was doing something in Orlando, I came out of Orlando with the military in 2008. So when I was in Orlando, I was there doing what I thought it was going to be a temporary job. I went there, it's like, I'm going to go do this per probably the summertime, and then eventually when the new school year starts, I'm going to try to figure out what to do with my life at that point. and 2 years went by, and I was still doing that temporary job. So out of just a random thought, I figured maybe why not? Let's give it a try. Let's see what they have to say. And at that point, I was under that impression too, that the military is just being that front line, those guys in uniform, that Hollywood presentation. I didn't realize when I went in the first time that they actually had a whole list of jobs that you could do with them, and a bunch of them don't have anything to do with those Hollywood, representations. So it was surprising to me that they had the ability to just give me something that had nothing to do with that front line. And truck driving was on the list. It's like, oh, I could do that. Like, I can go do, can I put my name on there? They were very surprised, to be honest, when I chose that, because when I went in 2008, I don't know if you are familiar with the conflict of the war and terrorism, but that time frame, 2008, 2009, was where the big surge happened. And truck drivers at the time in uniform were jokingly known as the ID magnets.
Oh.
Because that's what the only tactic that they had over there was, just to put roadside bombs and try to just do some kind of damage that way, because they knew that doing force to force was just not going to be a good outcome for them.
Right.
So nobody wanted to do that job. And here I am.
You signed up.
Can you put my name on there right now?
You didn't know what you were signing up for at the time.
I kind of knew, honestly. Like, I knew that was the thing, because Afghanistan, not as much, because Afghanistan was the war, the silent war. Nobody knew what was going on in Afghanistan. But Iraq was the first ever live televised war that we as a species have ever experienced. Like, we saw Baghdad when it was happening. So we were kind of aware of what was going on with those wars over there. I kind of was blissfully unaware that I was signing up for something that was going to be as dangerous, but I had an idea that it wasn't going to be a breeze.
Did you get any dangerous situations?
We were in a few conflicts. I was fortunate enough to not have to be in the rough on a few of those conflicts, but I did see some conflicts when we were over there. And from my 12 months deployment time frame, we lost one, and there were two that had to be flown out because it was bad enough that they couldn't stay with us any longer.
Man, that's got to be tough,
It's an experience. That's all I could say. I mean, again, it's a voluntary service. My war is different. Like, when people talk about the wars of the past, we're talking about the Great Wars, the 1 and the 2, and then the Vietnam conflict. All of those were drafts. It's different. Right. It's different. I voluntarily went into that office and I said, I want to do this. Nobody forced my hand. So when you do that voluntarily, then you have to know what it is that you're coming in to sign on.
Well, thank goodness for people like you, Alex, that volunteer for the military. Thank goodness for our military and people like that.
Absolutely.
Golly.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah.
So, trucking in your blood, you picked it, you decided to stay in it when you got out.
So,
and is anybody in your family in trucking?
Nobody.
Nobody in the history? Nobody?
I am the very first.
So what do they talk? What do they tell you? You're crazy, or is it neat to them, or what?
Crazy as it is, my dad, my dad is a professor. That's what he has always done, and through him, curious as it is, I actually got introduced to the trucking world, because at one point while we were living in the island, one of the students that he taught English as a second language. That's always been his specialty. So one of his students actually was one of those captain of industries in the island for the oil companies, for the energy companies, and they need trucks. In order to be in that industry, you need to be able to transport the products. So I got introduced to trucks through that person. That he was one of my dad's students, and we used to go to his place of work. And, a lot of the vehicles that we had in the island at the time were either vehicles from the 50s from the U.S., because that's what the U.S. had brought to the island in the times that they were there, or at the time then it was a lot of Soviet vehicles from maybe the 70s or the 80s. And at that point, at some point in the 90s, which is what I'm talking about now, when we go to this person's place of work, I see the very first ever somewhat modern non-Soviet truck. And it was an international cab over from the 90s.
Uh-huh.
It was the first time ever that I see something that is like that.
And remember it, don't
And
you?
I was about 8 years old.
Oh.
And I see this truck and like I want to get it. I'm too little to even try to climb on the steps, because you remember the cab overs. It was just you have to climb up to the door, and like I'm just barely big enough to be at the tire size, and I'm trying to get in there. So that was my introduction at 8 years old. This is what trucks are, like real trucks, not just like the older Soviet generation stuff that we used to have in the islands. So that was it. That's what did it for me. But it was dormant for a while. I didn't quite know that was what I was going to end up doing, but it was there. That was the seed. And then, years go by and things happen. We eventually have an opportunity to leave the island, which is basically my dad's dream, was to get us out of that environment for, forever.
Yeah. Yeah, he's downstairs. He's been riding with you.
He's retired now, so I had an opportunity to bring him out, and he's been on the truck for about 3 weeks now.
Oh, how's he liking it?
I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, he's older now, so just the climbs in and out, the roughness of the road all day. Other than that, I mean, it's cool. He gets to travel. He gets to see the country that he brought us to, and actually experience it and get out of that southern Florida.
Now, does he live in Indiana too?
No, they're out of South Florida.
Oh, okay.
Like the rest of the Cubans in the world, we all end up in Miami at some point.
Right.
So that's where most of my family is,
Okay.
either in that Miami area, or they've kind of moved up a little bit, but still in the Florida area.
Gotcha.
I tried to get out of Florida as soon as I could. It's nothing against Florida. Florida is beautiful, and it's a great retirement state. But I was
Not good for trucking.
I was brought to the U.S. so I could experience the U.S.
Yeah,
I want to see other than Florida.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a corner state, which is difficult for what we do.
Talk about being an owner-operator. Were we your first company to be an independent contractor?
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell somebody out there that has a similar background that's thinking about becoming an independent contractor, because you went through it how long ago?
It's about to be 2 years.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So
Like next month is about to be
Nice,
2 years.
nice.
Right. So I'm going to do a little bit of recruiting work here.
Okay.
Because that's what I do. So it was seamless. There's no other way to describe it. It truly was seamless. The most difficult
what
part
was
the transition of coming and working for you guys
Okay.
here. The most difficult part of the entire transition, to be honest, was just making the decision. Just going ahead and saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to stop thinking about it, and I'm going to start doing about it, was the most difficult part of the whole transition. Because you guys do most of the background work. I spend most of my days daydreaming.
Yeah.
I have nothing to worry about, truly. I spend most of my time out there on the road is just daydreaming. I'm not over there thinking about, do I have to email this person, try to get my next load booked? Do I have to wait for a Raycon? Do I have to make a phone call to this person? Is that load canceled? Like, what am I going to do for my next one? I don't even think about these things when I'm on the road, because a lot of that background work is completely taken care of by you guys. And that is, to me, for somebody like me, that has a lot of value.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to worry about any of those things. While you guys are taking care of that, all I have to worry about is making sure that that truck is roadworthy and I am taking care of my truck issues. So that's a really big thing for me.
Yeah. So when you started looking at trucks, what'd you buy?
Crazy as it is, I went new. First truck ever.
Brand new.
New. New is the only way I know how to do this business. There's plenty of guys who do it with used. You have plenty of them in your fleet today. Yeah. So there's ways to make it work. The only way I know how to do it is with new. I didn't realize how difficult it is to do what I did until I started trying to help some of my other buddies that want to do it as well. And then that's when I realized it is very difficult to do what I did. I had no idea, because when I did it, it just worked. But
you planned it.
Absolutely. I mean, when I started doing the out of the uniform version of trucking in 2012, my goal was to be here from the beginning. Not here necessarily with you guys,
right,
but in this position where I was going to be able to do it for myself. So I've been working on this for over 10 years. And during those 10 years, I had an opportunity to work in the corporate environment with Melton Truck Lines. So I have a lot of contacts that are in the industry that have years and years of experience. And I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I know what the industry does because I have those contacts and I can call and ask questions. And, you know, they've been great mentors and leaders. I've been fortunate enough to be able to have that kind of support in my career and work along some of those people that have been able to help me as much as they have. So I did not try to reinvent the wheel. I know what works, so I just copy paste. If it works for them, it's going to work for me.
Well, you're very methodical.
I like to think.
I feel like you are.
I like to think things through. Absolutely.
You know, you like to evaluate. You like to think it through. I mean, I've had multiple conversations with you, and you had some great ideas. And you don't just come up with the idea. You actually have the backing to support it.
I like to make sure that if I say something to somebody that I don't know, that it's a factual piece of information. I'm not just going to say something without being able to back it up.
Right. So being an independent contractor, you made the leap to buy a brand new truck and come to Oakley.
Right.
Everything's doing great. What are some of the key things that, as an independent contractor, that makes you successful?
Understanding that it is a business. That to me has to be one of the failure points that I see a lot with other conversations that I have with people who, you know, do what I do, is they don't necessarily understand that they're running a business. You're not just driving a truck. When you do it for yourself, you're an employee. You're just not working for somebody else. You're working for you now, but you're still an employee. So as soon as
you can't stand your boss.
Absolutely. It's the first time in your life where you're an employee and you can't yell at the boss anymore because he's not listening.
Yeah, right.
So that's got to be something that I run into a lot when I have conversations with people in the industry that are trying to do it like what we do. And on the owner side is understanding that it is a business and you have to run it as such. A lot of people just see the money come in and then as soon as it comes in, it's already planned. Like, I'm put this money towards this, and I'm gonna go get this other thing, and I've been wanting to get this cool thing for the truck for 2 months now. So as soon as it comes in, they already have a plan for it, and I want you to have a plan for it, truly, but as a business, not necessarily as a person that just wants certain things.
Yeah.
So if your understanding of the finances is correct, if you are able to sit there and have a plan for all of those pennies that are coming in, but for a business, then it's simple for you to do it. It's very simple for you to do it.
So what kind of, give us a sample of your plan.
So there is
some things that make,
correct.
You could share.
So there is a payroll expense. Like, I'm actually on a payroll for my company. So it's not simply how much money is left after all my expenses, and then that's what I get to take home. No. I am on the payroll, so regardless of what happens, that is the money that's for payroll. And then if there's something left, that's considered a profit, an actual company profit. If there is nothing left, then there's adjustments that need to be made so that we can continue to function as a company. And you don't necessarily understand what those numbers are until every penny is actually accounted for. So having the payroll, having a budget, a specific number set budget for this is how much is going to be for one thing versus another, such as maybe a truck payment, or how much is going to be set for fuel cost. And I know fuel cost is unpredictable. It goes up and down, but that has to be accounted for as well. So if you see that you're doing better or worse, you have to make adjustments. But a lot of guys just simply just run and figure out, well, it's the cost of running, it's doing business. So if I spend $40,000 in fuel this year, that's $40,000 it is. But then they're not really keeping track of that. So when that cost goes to $80,000, they don't realize that's where the money is going because they're not tracking that. And that's a big difference. That's double. We just talked about 40 versus 80. That's double. And that's part of...
I'm going to throw this in there. It's funny you say that, and it just hit me. My wife was talking to me the other day, and she said she was talking to one of her friends about gassing up the car. And
right.
she said, well, what kind of price is over there at this certain place? You know what? You get a good price on gas? And my wife said, I have no idea. I just got to have it. I put it in there. I'm like, well, that's kind of what you're talking about. So,
right.
With the business, a lot of these guys they got to have it, so they get it. Hey, it's a write-off, and that's some of the mentality that they're missing out on dollars.
Right. So it's the cost of doing business, and that's the way they look at it. I have to do it, so I'm just going to put whatever I need to put in there. But there's certain things that you can do to help that. And
like what?
You guys through your app, the company provided app that is necessary for us to do business here. You give us an actual fuel route, not necessarily something we have to choose, but it's an aid. We could use that to figure out better prices.
Show your discounts.
Yeah, exactly. And look at discounts and see what choices are better versus other choices. Just simply taking a little look at that map once in a while so you have a better idea of some places. Maybe you have a preference. I have preferences. When I'm traveling around the country, I'd rather stop at one place versus the other just because I know that at this place they have better parking, or at this place it's just a no-go zone for me. It's just too dangerous, or it's just too shady. I just don't want to end up at those places. But within those preferences, I could still look. Maybe between 1 and 2, I could choose 2 because that one has a better price. So simple things like that could help out.
Yeah.
And then the other one that is absolutely based on the driver, it's all a matter of habits, is just watching your MPG.
Fuel mileage.
Absolutely, fuel mileage. That's a big cost, and that's something you can help.
Did that play a part in you buying your truck?
Yes, absolutely.
Didn't you just buy a new truck or not?
Yeah, I ended up getting into a new truck at the beginning of this year because my first purchase got wrecked.
Yeah, that's right. You had that wreck, and then waiting on it, and then you bought you a new one.
Correct.
That's
so
right.
Since the only way I know how to do business, my first one got wrecked in October, right here close to the yard, like less than a mile away from here. And you guys actually had it sitting here on the yard for a good month or so in October last year. And then since that happened, I went ahead and ordered a new one. So just the waiting period for the new one to get delivered, I didn't start working again until the beginning of the year. So I was not working at all for the entirety of the last quarter last year. So there we go with the whole business plan. Yeah. I didn't work for 3 months. The money home never stopped because I have a payroll budget. So it didn't affect us at home.
Oh, that's smart.
Absolutely. The biggest problem of not being able to continuously work is worrying about those truck payments that never stop. But since I didn't have a truck at the time, because of the nature of me not working was connected to the truck not existing anymore, Then
But you had enough money in the business to keep paying you
correct.
every week.
Correct.
Nice.
So that didn't necessarily affect us at home.
That's good.
So then
What kind of truck did you buy?
I went with 579 from Pete, which is the aerodynamic version of what Peterbilt offers in the lineup of today.
Okay.
I did 579 both times. The first build, when I went to speak to the dealer, I was out of Colorado Springs because that's where the uniform took me to on that second contract in 21. So when I went to speak to the dealer, it was out of Colorado Springs. And they have a Rush Truck Centers up there. Great guy. I could definitely recommend if you guys are looking for a truck to speak to Justin up there. But
And that's where you got your second one, too?
I went with him again.
Okay.
I did business with them, and my experience was pretty good, so why not?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. I had to go get it up there and drive it from Colorado Springs right back down here, but why not?
Yeah.
Even though it's going to cost me a little more, it's okay. I had a great experience. Honestly, I'm not one of those people that is brand loyal. The reason why I have a 579 today is because they gave me the chance. First-time buyer, no business history. I'm like my brand new company that just formed that year. So whenever I talked to somebody about, hey, this is what my plan is, nobody would even open the door for me. They did. Justin was, oh, yeah, come on in. Let's see what we can do for you. So with that very first build, I did a lot of, I kind of left it up to him. Whatever you recommend, this is what I'm looking for. This is what my ultimate goal is just getting that maximum MPG that I can. And then knowing that I was going to come here directly, it was all about that weight. So when we put that build together, we had to go back and forth a few times about trying to see how we could shave a little bit of weight because, believe it or not, those platforms are really heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those 579s are actually heavier than some of these 389s, which is the new classics of today. They're heavier, believe it or not. So we had to do a lot of back and forth about trying to find ways to take some of that weight off of that build.
What'd you end up weighing?
The sticker on the door for that first one was about 18.4.
And the second one?
And the second one was just about the same.
Okay.
Even though I tweaked it again to try to get some weight off, it ended up being just about the same, even with the tweaks.
Okay.
And then once you add the fuel and you basically move in and put all your stuff on it, I am just shaving that 20,000 max that you guys have.
Right.
Just at the limit. So it's just a heavy build.
Yeah.
Truly is.
You like it, though? Good truck?
I like it. And it's doing exactly what I was hoping it was going to do for me.
So you're big on, like you said earlier, miles per gallon.
Absolutely.
What's some of the things you do to control that other than the price?
So when I started at Melton Truck Lines, they had data available from just years of doing business in the past. And what I learned from their side of the house is that as long as you were able to keep that truck at a slower speed, it would pay back. And that is a proven piece of information. There's data to back that up. And I did that from the beginning. So I made a decision in October of 2012 when I started working at Melton Truck Lines that no matter what truck I was in, my speed of travel is 62 miles an hour. They're going to be looking at me right now.
Yeah,
like, this guy.
Yeah, you're the one I'm griping about. Get
I'm
out
in
of my
everybody's
way.
way.
Yeah.
I'm in everybody's way. And
You're in my way, and I'm a slow driver in the right lane, you know?
Absolutely. I passed two people during my day. I passed Prime, and I passed the occasional slow driver that is kind of confused and doesn't know what's going on. I passed two people all day. But think about the MPG implications. There's a study made by Cummins from back in 2016 timeframe. Actually, I think it was 2014 timeframe. They partnered with International, the truck brand. And in their study, they found that for every mile an hour that the truck travels above 59 miles per hour, or 55 miles per hour, 55 miles per hour, For every mile per hour that you travel above 55 at highway speeds, your MPG drops by 0.1.
Okay.
Just because of the drag, the air. You're trying to push the air out of the way. Just simply the drag
So
on that
60 mile an hour, I'm losing
exactly
mile
half
per
of the
gallon.
MPG. So if your truck has the potential, which PACCAR has that on their website today, that their MX 13s have the potential of doing over 9 miles per hour. 9 MPG is posted on their website. So if your truck has the potential of getting 9 MPG, simply because you are doing 75, now you're doing 7 MPG.
Yeah. Yep.
You're just simply dropping that by choosing to go faster.
What do you get in this truck?
So on my very first build, which has had a lot of just choices from the dealer, not things that I chose. He ended up giving me that 579 with a Cummins, which is something that I chose, but it was a Cummins 500. And Cummins has 3 different versions for their engines. They have a performance, which is all about big numbers, go juice. They have a economy, which is all about what I care about, which is MPG. But they also have a middle ground, and they call that the I'm looking for the name. It's not going to come to me. But this middle ground engine, the way you know you have one of those is because at the end of the number, they're going to put a V, a Victor. So that last truck I had was a 500, meaning that it's a 500 horsepower, but it has one of those denominations. It was a Victor, 500 Victor. So that one was a 500 Victor with the automated transmission, the 12 automated, and it's all about getting that greater MPG with the automation because the computer is smarter than you are, so it's going to calculate what the best MPG is going to be for you. And then it had 308s on the gears, which was the lowest number I could get with that combination engine transmission. And it was a long wheelbase. Those dealers are trying to go for that pretty truck, so they give you the long wheelbase. And what happens is when you stretch the truck out, you're increasing the trailer gap. And all the air that's getting behind your truck into that trailer gap is also creating a ton of drag. So that long wheelbase, it was 244 on the wheelbase. And I had the toll rover, which is a bigger diameter on the tires, which means the tire has to spin a little bit more just to do a full rotation. So for that one, for when I started with you guys in 23, I ran for 7 months. And for those 7 months, I had a conversation at the beginning when I started here with some of the other owners, and they were trying to drive a point that if you drive the speed limits, you can do more miles and you can drive more during the week. So whatever you're going to save on MPG is going to end up coming back at you and just simply driving more loads.
More mileage.
Exactly. So you're going to make more money. So I tested that. Like, I'm not just going to knock it off. I'm just like, I'm going to try it. Let's see what the fuss is about. I want to have my own data set. So for 23, I ran speed limits, or my version of speed limits, which is 2 under. So if it's at 70, I do 68. And then for that 7 months, my overall average was 7.2.
Okay.
With that first build, the 579 with the 500 Victor, like that spec that I gave you, 7.2. And with you guys, I also noticed that 33% of all the miles that I ran for that period was empty miles. So 66%, I'm 79 plus 1,000 pounds. But the other 32%, I'm empty. So that's helping the MPG tremendously. Also, every time I have a conversation with somebody about MPG here at Oakley, a lot of the owner-operators, they talk about, oh, yeah, I do so many empty and I do so much loaded, and like there's this fluctuation, and they don't necessarily understand how to find what the true number is. And I'm here to tell you that the most accurate metric that you can use as an owner here at Oakley, anyway, because you guys post that, is through your IFTA statements.
Yeah, that you get
the fuel
monthly.
Tax. Exactly, the fuel tax statement that you get because you guys do that for us.
Right.
So on the IFTA statement, is already calculated. And there's nothing more accurate than that, because the if test statement has to figure out how much fuel, like how many gallons you purchased for that month, and how many miles you traveled with those many gallons for the month. So it's already calculated. That is the most accurate metric that you can use to figure out what your MPG is, your true MPG, not what your dash is saying on the truck. Oh, well, like when you fueled up, you did the math of how many miles you drove.
Right.
I mean, like that's the if that's doing that for you automatically.
Yeah, because a lot of variables.
Absolutely.
In the wind, in the hills, in the whatever it is, difference.
Absolutely. And then if you want to have a true MPG average, you got to give yourself at least a quarter. Like do a 3-month average, and that'll tell you what your number is, because one month to the other is going to vary like a lot, like what you just mentioned. So for those 7 months of 23, I was at 7.2 with that first build. I had the opportunity to make some improvements on my second build, all about getting that MPG improved, right?
So what'd you change?
I went to a 450 instead of the 500. And this is just a straight 450 economy. And then
Cummins?
The Cummins, I stick with the Cummins,
Gotcha.
yes. The Cummins is the one that I prefer. It's the one that I know the most about, because their website has the most information of any of the other brands as far as engines are concerned. Then, because I had the lower engine, I was able to drop my rear ends to 279. And I went to the low pro tires, which is also all about MPG, and I shortened that trailer gap because I got a shorter wheelbase on this one.
Okay.
So doing speed limits, my first build gave me 7.2 for the duration of 23. Then at the beginning of 24, for the 9 months that I was running that first build before the crash, I actually went back to my 62, which was my forever speed. I made the choice. I ran already my test. I went ahead and did what I was going to do for that time frame and tested the theory of doing speed limits.
Okay.
And then in the 9 months of 24, I actually went to 7.7.
Gained a half.
I gained a half by just simply dropping my speed and going back to my usual 62. And then with this build, I don't have enough data yet because it's only been a few months, so we only have like 2 if test statements. But so far, it's looking like I'm going to make a 0.5 improvement again.
Good.
I'm above 8, which was my overall goal with the build.
Get above 8 miles per gallon.
Above 8 consistently.
Wow. That's
So-
good. You still at 62?
62, absolutely.
Really?
62 forever. Think about what you do for a living and what I do for a living.
Yeah.
All right, so what I do for a living, it involves a lot of just paying attention to traffic, the lanes. Am I going to catch somebody? Do I have to get over?
Yeah.
Once I do get over, do I have space to come over again? Like, do I have to put my blinker now? It's all decisions, right? And if you're familiar with this Smith system, it's all about defensive driving. And I taught that for, the 2 years that I worked at Melted Truck Lines.
Okay.
I taught the Smith system, and it was every week. And it was a 3-hour presentation. So for 50 weeks, that's 1,500 hours a year. I have over 3,000 hours of Smith system, just teaching.
Yeah.
So
you practice what you preach.
Absolutely. So Smith system is based on human physiology and just the choices that we made behind the wheel, right? And the limitations that we have as just the people the creatures that we are. And the Smith system teaches that we make, under heavy traffic, we make over 80 decisions a minute. 80 decisions a minute.
Wow.
That is mentally exhausting. If you have to spend an hour in heavy traffic, eventually you get out of traffic situation, and then that volume slows down. You're making a lot less decisions. It's sparsely populated. You don't have a lot of traffic around you, so it calms down. But when you're in that heavy traffic situation, 80 decisions a minute, it's as simple as, am I too close? That simple question just created 6 decisions. If I am too close, do I have to slow down? Do I have room? Do I have to look over there? Do I have to look over here? So that's where all those decisions just come from. So think about what you do for a living, what I do for a living, right? So because of your responsibility, if you're busy, that means you have to answer phone calls, you have to answer emails, you have to be doing multiple things. Somebody comes over and wants to ask you a question in person. So that all of that is what you're doing in that environment. So a busy day to you requires a lot of mental energy to perform all your tasks. If you simply slow down, you just reduce your email volume from 60 emails to 12 emails by just simply slowing down, because now I don't have to make those many decisions anymore. Everybody's passing me. And as soon as they get in front of me again, they're getting away from me. So I don't have to do anything about it. All day long, I do nothing about it. So my day is very relaxed compared to many others.
Yeah.
Very, very relaxed. So at the end of my day, I have a lot of energy. I'm not exhausted.
Yeah. That's a very good point, because it does. I mean, I can, well, you know, we've said this before, you know, I mean, you can see people in the middle lane and the left lane, they're exhausted by the time they get to where they're going, because they are I know, because when I get over there, my blood pressure goes up.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I got to get out of here. These bunch of nutcases over in this lane.
Absolutely.
I got to get out
You're
of here.
the one over there being mad about
Yeah.
traffic. Everybody's in my way. Like, it's okay. I'll be in your way.
Yeah.
So it's multiple things that come into play with that. Then think about the safety factor. I'm never catching up to anybody. Truly, I'm never catching up to anybody. So I'm not worried about, am I going to hit somebody?
Yeah.
It's a possibility that somebody might be.
Everybody is, you can't catch anybody.
It's a possibility that somebody might be getting too close and they might hit me. Like, that's a worry, because, you know, in some states, 62 is a little extra.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about like upper northwest over there, where like the speed limit is 90 or something like that, and I'm doing 60. That's a big speed differential.
Yeah, it is.
That's some states, that's worrisome. So that comes into play. But for the most part, it's just a very relaxed day overall.
Sounds like you got a great plan. You know what it is. You put it in place.
Right.
You evaluate it when you're done. I mean, you're one of the most knowledgeable and prepared owner operators I've ever interviewed, and I mean, I think we all can learn from some of your habits that you have that you're telling about. Some of our listeners can learn from it. I mean, because it's not a, this is what I think's right. You know, I mean, you know which, you've seen the difference, and you've tested it. So you know it works. Now,
my challenge, if anybody is actually going to listen to the podcast and just try to get something out of this specific session, my challenge to you as an owner operator here or anywhere, it could be anywhere, is to test it. Give it 4 months, and I say 4 months because you need at least 3 months to be able to have the real data to show if that's made an improvement or not. And that first month is not going to make a change, because the truck is now trying to undo your lifetime of habits. So give it 4 months and test it. Your wallet will see the difference.
I bet it will.
At Aero Truck Sales in Springfield, Missouri, they take the hassle out of buying and selling semi-trucks. No matter the manufacturer, the style of cab, or the type of engine under the hood, they can make you a fair offer on your semi-truck with no games or gimmicks. They carry trucks from all the major manufacturers in the trucking industry and perform a thorough inspection of every truck on their lot to ensure safety and quality, and give you confidence that you're getting a reliable truck that will last you for years at a price that you can afford. Aero has partnered with Oakley Trucking and the Oakley Podcast for years, and are proud to provide our owner-operators with trucks that meet Oakley's qualifications and each owner-operator's specific needs. So whether you're a first-time owner-operator or just looking for a change of scenery, give Keith Wilson a call at 573-216-6047 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast.
What's in the future for Alex Bauta? What are you looking at next? I know that brain has got to be.
Absolutely.
It doesn't stop.
So, truthfully, I'm still young, and I'm sure you've noticed from all your years of working here at Oakley that I'm one of the younger ones.
Yep.
So I still have that energy.
How old are you?
I'm actually 37.
Okay, good.
So I still have that energy to try to achieve great things in life. So my overall goal is to employ 20.
Nice.
Eventually, I would like to get to that point in my life where I am directly responsible for the success of, if I have actually 20 under my supervision, that, if they have families of their own, then I'm directly responsible for the success of 20 other families. So that's ultimately the great goal.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I haven't figured that out.
You will, though.
So while that is in the works, then I see myself here.
Yeah.
This is a good place, and is one of the better choices. I looked at a lot of places when I tried to make that decision to just go ahead and go to the owner side, and everything just kept pointing towards this direction. Whether it's the pay structure that you guys offer here, or something as simple as, and to me this is a really big simple, this matters a lot to me, but something as simple as, it is my trailer. I don't have to switch that trailer and give it to somebody else, or go to a customer and do a swap and grab this empty and drop that. That's a big thing for me, truly. It is. Because since I like to pay attention to the small things, if something is wrong with that trailer, it gets taken care of by me. And then I know that now that is not a problem anymore. And I'm not just going to go drop it in some yard and then get somebody else's trailer, and now I don't know what's wrong with that.
You treat it like it's your own.
Absolutely. So that is a really big, small thing to me.
Yeah. I think you hit it earlier when you said that, we're working in the background to take care of things.
Absolutely.
I try to, when I'm recruiting somebody, I try to get them to that place, because if we can lower your stress level and your anxiety, and then you're going to be better with our customers, and you're going to be a safer driver.
Absolutely.
And that's part of our plan here, is to try to, you don't have to worry about how far you got a deadhead. What's my next load? If I got to do this, I got to do that. Well, it don't pay good. Well, then I got to take it to get here. And, and you don't have to worry about that with us.
None of it. It's just simplified.
Just work, and at the end of the week, hit your checking account.
It's so simple. It really is so simple. And that was a really big factor in just making that decision. The percentage world is unpredictable. It truly is unpredictable. And 80% of something is better than 60% of something. The problem is, what is that something?
That's right.
I don't know what something is, so I can't tell you what my numbers are going to be when it's percentage.
Yep, you're right. Man, what a great conversation. This is just another example, Annabelle, of the kind of owner-operators we have here. I mean, we give our listeners the whole smorgasbord, because, we've got them, everybody. Originally from Cuba. We had Luigi from Colombia. We've had, I forgot the other one. Marlon, yeah, Jamaica. And so many of them's been in the military too, and the pilot, that was a pilot for 20, 30 years. If anything, it's for our listeners to understand that truck drivers are human beings.
Right.
And they're good ones. They have feelings. They have responsibilities just like everybody else out there. And we want to do our part to change that stigma about truck drivers and trucking companies. And you're a great example of that, Alex. So
thanks for the compliment.
You bet, man. Anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to hear about you.
Well, that'll take about 10 seconds. Recruiter at Oakley, so there you are. They've been trying to get me to do an episode down the road. Annabelle's always trying to get me to episode about me, and but there's really not much of a story there. So
I doubt it.
Pretty simple, man. I like to keep things simple like you do.
Yeah.
Not much to it, So, but anyway, I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I've learned a lot from you. I hope our listeners have. I hope you guys out there know that these are authentic, and we come at you. I had no idea what Alex was going to talk about today. We just kind of started off, and these right here had all my questions. We did not cover one of them. So
We didn't look at the paper all day.
we didn't even look at it. So anyway, good information. I appreciate all our listeners, as every week you guys are awesome. Keep it coming. Keep giving us feedback, like, subscribe, check out our social media, and we will definitely see you every week. Talk to you next week. Thanks.